Hello, welcome to That Mill podcast. Joining me today, myself, Omar. I've got Jay. Hello, mate. How are you?
Good evening, Omar. Good evening, Stephen. How are you both? I'm fine.
Not too shabby. You did mention Stephen with us as well. Hello, mate. How are you?
It wasn't me that ruined the third guest this time. So, no, I'm good. I'm good, boys. I'm good.
I can see you anyway, so.
We're going to go and relive yesterday's 2-2 draw for Millwall against Cardiff City. On the face of it, maybe not the worst of results, but the context to it, I'm sure we'll cover in very much good detail, talking about the ups and downs of that game. Some high points, Bangura, for sure, Bangura Williams, another obviously Callum Scanlon as well. And then we'll delve into low points, some injuries to some notable players, and we'll go into all the depths and depths of that and probably take you back to the emotions of yesterday when you walked out of the den yesterday after the 2-2 draw against Cardiff City. I was about to say defeat there because it felt like that in the 97th minute, albeit. But if you're new around here, be sure to like the video, subscribe if you're new. If you're listening on audio, please be sure to interact with us in the comments on there as well. We do try and get back to everyone, and we do like to get your kind of views and opinions on things that I've said on the panel. We'll kick us off. I think let's go straight into the game itself, boys. I think, right, first things first, it was 2-0 up. 1 minute in, we scored through Callum Scanlon. Talk to me about that goal, Stephen. Let's start with some positivity before we get cracking on.
I'll be honest with you. I sent a text to a mate of mine literally as the game kicked off and sort of said, actually forwarded the thing that was doing the rounds about Millwall to have shot on target. It was like 2 million to 1 or whatever it was that Jay posted. And I got a reply literally straight away because we'd scored. And it was a good goal. Callum Scanlon probably showing what a little bit of pace does, a little bit of pace and power does in this division. He did pretty well, really, to pretty much go past the defender, and then a bit of an unstoppable shot, really, wasn't it? He just absolutely leveled it with his left foot. Keeper had no chance, and you kind of think, all right, this is. I don't think the ground. Obviously, you cheer, you the goal, you do what you do, but I think everyone was just a bit like, hold on a minute. After the weekend, we're actually coming out to attack it. We could be onto something, and it was a good goal. It was a very good goal. I'm pleased for him. I think it's his first goal in professional football. So they said it the other day in the FA Cup for Bangura Williams. You'll never forget that. Whatever he does in football, that was his first ever pro goal.
Yes, and welcome back to the Loney, I suppose, Jay. Obviously, he's featured the last couple of games, and I think it was Watmore make a bit of a nuisance himself on the right side. It kind of fumbles over towards the left. Scanlon does use that pace, like Stephen mentioned, beats the defender to it, and then in his stride, I guess he just levels it past the goalie with as good as you like, really. Sweet connection, his first senior goal, and obviously a great goal, a great way to start the game. And as Stephen mentioned there, Jay, I think I joked about it, but maybe it might have been a goal. Maybe we scored too soon. We'll get on to the second goal in a minute, but it's one of those ones, isn't it? It was nice to settle the nerves in the den because it could have gone either way yesterday to start the game. But it was, the context to it, we'll get on to it in a bit, but great finish by the young lad.
Yeah, and I think it just showed that what you can do if you just have a little bit of no fear about you. I think he just saw a chance. He's broke into the box, and like Stephen said, the pace he's got, and if you just smash that as hard as you can and get it on target with the momentum he had of running onto the ball, I think you've got half a chance. And like Stephen said, he'll never forget that. And just to be in that position, that had that attacking prowess about him, to see the opportunity there is something that we have lacked in the wide areas. Duncan Watmore's very good at getting the ball down and running. He's not. I don't really have Duncan Watmore painted in a good picture anywhere else, but to get into that position in the first place, driving forward, it takes a lucky bounce off of the defender, and Scanlon's there with his pace and power to put it away. And I think we've been lacking that. I think we need that, and it did set us up for pretty much, I wouldn't say a dominant half or some dominance after that, because I don't actually think we played that well leading up to that or after that. I thought we was quite sloppy, but we kept up the tempo with the pace and the creativity of Bangura Williams. Thought Casper did really, really well to keep us higher up the pitch, and we did look like we'd go on and push on. And then obviously the second goal came that you're talking about, and you're thinking, this could be the night here. But we all know what happened.
Describe the second goal as best as you can, Stephen. I'll put you on the spot there. Bangura Williams gets his first start in senior football. Well, senior professional men's football, because obviously he played for Tooting and Mitcham, didn't he, and stuff back in the day. Talk to me about that goal. Let's set the tone.
Well, I think you sort of, the ball broke, didn't it? And we were down the left-hand side, and then it was just magic. It was just magic. It sort of looked like it was bundling around, and then all of a sudden he had the ball under control. The defender basically was looking around thinking, what's happened? He just disappeared from him and in the box. And the best part about it, everyone talks about the quick feet. Everybody talks about, the skill and this, that, and the other. It's actually the awareness to spot where the player is. Langstaff is, and I think Watmore made a run across. Langstaff's in the box, but he picked the right person to give the ball to. That's the big thing. It's young players often come in and you think they're going to make mistakes or they're going to be a little bit too keen. He was just calm. He did the right thing. And on Casper, and I think we'll come back to Casper because I don't think he deserved to be on the side that didn't win the game yesterday. Swansea gets himself in the box, scores a goal. Dagenham gets himself in the box, scores a goal. Last night gets himself in the box, scores a goal. I'm not saying he's the full answer, but if we could unlock him a little bit and give him a bit more freedom, perhaps to get a little bit further forward. He obviously knows where the goal is, took it very well, but look, Bangura Williams, I think it's obviously going to happen. You got Dougie's on the phone. We've got the next Remain essay. They were all the sort of comments that were coming out. But it just does go to show that the academy really, really have been working hard. The guys in the academy, I think Craig Heskey, is it? I think is one that seems to do the rounds on Twitter talking about players and the hard work that they do. If I've got his name wrong, I do apologise. But it's that they've done a lot of hard work and just now we're seeing that there are some real talented players in the setup and obviously Bangura Williams, dream start, goal on his debut and an assist on his league debut.
For sure. And I think obviously, so I think the only crying shame I have about that is Bangura Williams just beat the man twice. He's nutmegged him, beat him, squared it back to Denor, and Denor scores, not a tap in, but it's a good finish. He runs off in the opposite direction. When you score a goal like that, the credit goes to the assister, and you go to him and appreciate the goal. But Denor's gone off like the old Shearer, giving it the arm away, running into the distance. I thought I have to pull that one up because when Bangura Williams has laid on an assist like that, where he's beat the man, he nutmegged him initially to kind of get hold of the ball, scrubble, stands the player up on the byline on the left hand side, beats him with a shimmy, superb quick feet, picks him out. Denor doesn't have an open goal to tap into; he has to finish it. But you got to go to Bangura Williams and appreciate that goal, no?
Just on that though, did any of you see that Bangura Williams stood and watched himself on the big screen? Because they showed it back. He was stood there looking at him. Yeah. We were like, he's young, he's a bit excited, but he literally stood there and was like, yeah, I'm proud of that one.
But a goal's a goal, Jay, right? But come on, you got to go to Bangura Williams and say, fucking fair play.
Oh, mate, it was just you could put it to music, mate. I mean, it's unbelievable footwork. It's fantastic awareness, and as Stephen said, the key part about that was he made the right decision. But Bangura Williams is a 10. He's a natural 10. That's his position. That's what you expect a 10 to do. That's what you want from your 10, to be that guy in and around the box, to have that quick feet, to be technically that good and to pick the right passes, that creativity. That was the textbook passage of play of an out-and-out number 10. Me and you went and watched him, Omar, in the pre-season down at Gray, scored an absolute weldy first-time left foot top bins. He was dropping deep, picking the ball up, driving forward, taking players on. He is a natural 10. And although we're saying, look, this is a youngster, another one coming through, he's older than Romain Esse. He's not a kid anymore. He's 20. In football terms, pretty much you've got to be hitting your stride now. So expect to see a lot more of him. He come on against when he played against Dagenham, he's very, very good again. Quick feet, great decision, turning defenders inside out, got his goal. Did exactly the same last night against championship caliber defenders, and he made it look so easy. So yeah, Casper probably would have had a little tap on his shoulder at the end of the game or at half time at least to say, come on now, mate, you need to show me. But then that leads us on to that with Casper's tenacity to be able to get into the box, get them finishes off. Like Stephen said, he's done it in previous games. I think Casper probably needs a better sidekick next to him, someone that he can trust a little bit more, that allows him to get forward. But that's where we need that number 10, that spine of that team, that when Casper does get forward and the opposition break, it's not you're not oceans away from getting back and we're not wide open. So I think we need to find that balance. But yeah, that goal all round was really, really good Millwall move overall. And yeah, fantastic for the youngster to set his confidence alight, because he'll go into the Luton game now, hopefully starting, which he should. He's earned that. It's not down to numbers. He's earned that, even if the numbers were there. So he'll go into Luton buzzing.
For sure, definitely. And I think it kind of capped off a good first 20 minutes. I know, Jay, you mentioned that we never felt in true control. I think it did feel like it was kind of topsy-turvy a bit that first half. And I felt like at times we rode our luck. I think Jensen makes a good save, doesn't he? I'm pretty sure in the first half. And you're thinking, right, we've got to be on our toes here a bit. And I'm thinking, right, let's get to half-time here. Let's get in at the break and be 2-0 up. Sometimes you say 2-0 is maybe a too fortunate of a score sometimes in football. And if they get one back in the second half, are we going to crumble? But Chris Willett scores a goal. I mean, I don't know who wants to talk me through that goal. And I think this is where we're going to go from the positive spin to perhaps somewhat negative, and rightly so, because 2 goals we conceded in yesterday's game were nothing short of shambolic. But it was talk me through Chris Willett's goal.
I'll come in first because Stephen will at least paint us in a little bit more of a positive light than I will imagine. So it'd be nice to end it on that. But it's just a shambolic turn of events, and I actually thought Chris Willett was absolutely horrific for Cardiff up to that point. He was so bad, he was bottled, and we just don't clear our lines. George Saville goes down on the edge of the box and the referee doesn't give it, but he stays down. Tango then heads it straight to one of their players rather than clearing his lines. It then fumbles in the box again, and Leonard comes across to attempt to clear it. He finds himself bumping into Cooper, who just taps it to Chris Willock. All the while, George Saville is still laying on his sun lounger on the edge of the box. And it's a fantastic finish from Willett. You've got to give that to him. I don't think there's much Jensen or any keeper's going to do with that. From that angle, when you hit them from there, it's like on FIFA. When you hit it at that angle from there, it's going in every single time. And great finish to him, but shambolic way to end the half. And I think that's down to probably a lot of nerves, that we want to see it out. We need to see the half out and a bit more of a Cardiff press, and we're not dealing with the press that well, and we're panicking a little bit because we want to see that half out. But just a shambolic way to end it. And I think even going in at half time 2-1, I still think we'd have been really happy. Whether it was 1-0 or 2-1, I still think we'd have been really happy. We're leading, that would have been a positive. But it just gave Cardiff that bit of momentum. They've got one back, and at 2-0, the next goal is so crucial in football. It's the worst scoreline in football. To get it, pull it back to 2-1 was, really disheartening. It did make myself, especially, and I'm sure most of the fans think, is it going to happen again? And ultimately it did. But the biggest problem I had with that was what George Saville did. I think for someone who does that a lot, who likes to draw the fouls, and he's very good at it, and it's very effective. He didn't get back up. The referee didn't give it, and he didn't get back up, and it was over 30 seconds he was laying on the deck for, and he could have prevented that. And I think that, for me, is just so unforgivable in that moment, that you look like you downed tools and gave up at that point and left it to your teammates to deal with while you sat and watched. And that just doesn't resonate with me. I was very outspoken with how bad it was at the time. I've calmed down a bit. I still think it's just as bad. But yeah, Stephen, I mean, what's your thoughts on that? I just felt like young his teammates had to dry there.
The sad thing is, and about it all, is that I thought you touched on it earlier. I don't think Millwall played well in the third. We didn't play badly, but it wasn't a dominant performance. But for I would say for 44 minutes, every time they seemed to come forward, we found a way to push them back.
Yeah.
We forced them back to the halfway line. We pressed at Scanlon. I thought was very good at that. Casper was very good at it. I know Duncan Watmore sometimes gets a little bit of stick, but he was consistently trying to get back and help Leonard down the right hand side. And just we made them look quite ordinary for a team that was in good form, good little bit of form, like considering the position in the league. And then you just a lapse in concentration. The Saville thing. I actually thought he was obviously now I know, but at the time I thought he was hurt. I didn't think he was going to come back out for the second half. There was talk that there was whispers going around that he was helped off and whatnot. The fact that he wasn't makes it awful. You have to get, especially defending. If you stay down when you're on an attacking position, you can kind of understand it maybe to a certain extent. But when you're defending to try and keep a 2-goal cushion, you've got to get back up.
If you're faking it though, Stephen, hold your head. Go down and hold your head.
Yeah, well,
and he has to stop it.
That's the
you
other
look at the
thing.
picture that I put up. He's literally laying there on all fours like he's posing. And then as Willock shoots, he turns around and he's laying there just with his head up, looking with his arms down like he's on a sun lounger.
Yeah, it's a horrendous for a senior pro. For a senior pro, it's a horrendous thing to do. You've got to get on with the game. You play to the whistle. You just play to the whistle, and unfortunately he didn't. The fact that we obviously Leonard and Cooper get themselves in an almighty mess. I mean, it just what they were doing again. No communication, nothing away from the finish, as you say. Good finish from Willock and Jensen again. Probably nothing he can do. He's just not helped out by his defence, and we'll come on to that again with what happened in the second half. But Lucas Jensen, if you actually have a look in most of the games, he very, very rarely has anything to do. He never has anything to do. He's not making save after, say, Sheffield Wednesday. Perhaps he had a bit more to do a couple of weeks ago. But the goals we concede, he's consistently let down by someone in front of him, and that's. Alex Neil said, and again, I don't want to jump too far ahead because we've got the second half to talk about and some players and obviously the second goal. But Alex Neil touched on and said that we need to be better at managing the game. That was the quote. It hurts, but we've got to be better at managing the game. Just for argument's sake, George Honeyman did exactly the same thing at Oxford a couple of months ago, where he didn't kick the ball into the touchline. He kicked it straight to their defender. They went up the other end and scored. Again, worldy, but the defence is let down by someone. Sheffield United a couple of weeks ago, when Rhian Brewster scored that tap in, the ball's going over the top. Joe Bryan gets himself in all kinds of trouble, doesn't do anything, basically leaves it. Their bloke controls it, squares it. It's all very well saying we have to manage the game, but we've been saying we've got to do that for 2-3 months. The players have got to take some form of responsibility. And in that moment, Saville didn't take any responsibility. Leonard and Cooper put themselves in all kinds of trouble. And at this level, you give teams an opportunity like that, they're going to score.
Well, you're right. And let's go on to the second half then, because that is probably a lot of what you said there does relate to the second half. We'll come back to the injuries in a minute. Obviously, we've lost Danny McNamara, we've lost Ryan Leonard to injury, both looking quite serious, but we'll come back to them in a minute. We'll talk about game management then, Stephen. I think the thing that is worrying for me anyway is you could see it towards as the game went on. Obviously, like we said in the first half, they had their opportunities. Let's get it right. If we was going to win yesterday, it was never going to be a pretty win. It was never going to be, especially after Saturday's performance and also the injuries we've got. Not to throw the injuries in there, but you're missing Josh Coburn, you're missing Aziz. Probably both would be starting in that attacking three when you think to it, and would make a valuable difference, you'd argue. But we're short. We've lost obviously Fleming last summer. We've lost Romain Esse. We're missing that kind of also know-how up front. I feel like in them forward areas, we lost Tom Bradshaw. Okay, you could certainly put any value on that if you want and take it with a pinch of salt. However, you see that game at the end there with Ivanovic and Langstaff, one that's never played in the Championship before. Well, both of them never played in the Championship before. One's 19 years old and the other one's 26, 27. And what you saw was huffing and puffing. I think you mentioned it about what we're tracking back, helping out. There was some real, there was no lack of effort, but the execution all over in that second half. I mean, it just wasn't there, was it? And you can see you're crying for like someone that takes to the corner flag. Steve Morrison-esque. You chuck him on with 10 minutes to go, Morrison, towards the end of his career. You knew what he was going to do with it. Even when he's through on goal, he's still going to that corner flag at times. You're thinking, what's he fucking doing? But it's that know-how, that professionalism, that kind of, knowing to win, especially in the Championship, I think we're missing.
Funny enough, my dad actually said it's about the 87th minute, and he sort of said, right, who's doing the Morrow role then? Who's going in the corner? And we actually, believe it or not, Ivanovic did try to do that. At one point, he went into the corner. And what I would say with Ivanovic, I actually was quite impressed with him last night because he really did try. He really tried to do the job that Alex Neil asked him to do, to run down the clock, to chase the defenders and put some higher pressure on. Okay, the execution wasn't always there, but again, George Honeyman goes down to the corner flag in the 93rd minute trying to hold the ball, and he just kicked it straight to one of theirs, and they get out.
Yeah.
You're looking for senior players to step up and do something and make a difference. I thought, game management, the benches, it was disjointed. We've got a load of defenders and midfielders, and we haven't got attackers. And I understand that the changes maybe, that were made to some extent, but you needed someone to get on the pitch and go, right, I'm going to drag this lot. I'm going to drag them over the line. I'm going to be the person that they can look to a little bit of marshalling, a little bit of a leader. We had no leaders out there. Tanganga's shouting at people, trying to get them organised, but that's not where you want it. You've got to push from the front. Someone has to take that up, and we just didn't have it. And look, I'm sure we're going to come on to it now, and I'll kind of start with the second goal. In any form of football, Rosed, if in any danger, lump it up the pitch. We've been masters of lumping it up the pitch in the past and getting it clear. But like I said earlier, just before half time, if you give teams in the Championship an opportunity, what happens?
It's true. And let's talk about it. Obviously, Billy Mitchell, we're seeing the game out. I think Cardiff had a couple chances. I think Vietnam makes a save. I think kind of point blank range. There's a header in the box that's come from left hand side, and the attacker needs to get on target, and it's a goal. So we were riding our luck at times, weren't we? And I think Langstaff had one half opportunity. I think it was Crammer who came as a sub that we'll come into in a minute. Bolted down the right hand side. Didn't know he had it in him personally, but we'll come back to that in a sec. And then obviously it sets up for Langstaff, and he gets a volley off. You're thinking, if that either side of the goalie could have been, that kind of spark he needed himself. But Honeyman has come on. Billy Mitchell has come on. Honeyman on the right, Billy Mitchell playing left midfield, which I'm giving the context to, not an excuse to him before either of you two or anyone in the comments going to jump down my throat for it. But there's been a couple of times where Mitchell's got the ball, we want him to put his foot through it, he fails to do that. And ultimately, in the 96th minute of 97, more added time because of injuries, Billy Mitchell fails to clear it, then gets down the left-hand side where we notoriously concede goals from, and we can see another goal, don't we? And it's a 2-2. Jay, sum up how you feel when that goes in, mate. I know how I felt. Literally got up and just walked out and just shouted cunt about 7 times. And then that's Millwall in a nutshell, isn't it?
It is, mate. It's Millwall at the moment in a nutshell. That's the biggest problem. And there was a moment just before that where we had a counter attack, and it's Billy Honeyman and I can't remember who else, and he just kicks it at the heel of the Cardiff player, and you've got a 3-on-2, and you just think this is really going to come back to bite us. I had a couple half chances, and we wasn't commanding our line very well when it was irrational, when it was erratic. And yeah, like Stephen said, I don't care if you're playing left midfield and you're a centre midfielder. I don't care if your goalkeeper asks to play up front. You stick that ball with 10 seconds left anywhere. Stephen said it earlier before we come on. It didn't even matter if you stick it in Rose Head. You could have stuck it anywhere else on the football pitch. It would not have mattered. One place you couldn't have put it was where he put it, because it ultimately set up the chain of events. And then it's, they've still got to do a lot. Cardiff, the striker somehow is able to get the ball down in the box, turn and get a shot off as well. So while Billy Mitchell did an unforgivable thing, a grassroots stupid error, while he did do that, we also didn't do our job in the back line. I thought Tanganga and Cooper, didn't cover himself in line. We know, we all love Tango, but it just wasn't good from any of them last night. It really wasn't. And, they still had a lot to do, Cardiff, and fair play to them, because they kept coming. That's why they're 6 unbeaten. And that's why we're winless in, 1 win in 12. And it's demoralising, and it's really, really hard to take. And we keep asking for the senior players to step up. And we keep saying, the youngsters, they may not be ready yet. But they're the ones that are putting the effort in. They're the ones that are trying to dig us out of a hole. I thought Ivanovic, when he come on, was excellent I thought he really was very good. He was coming deep, picking the ball up. He showed strength, pace, tenacity. He understood the game. He understood the position. He was trying to get us out of that hole, take it to the corner and so on. And it's the senior players, yet again, that are letting us down. The Honeymans, the Savills. Billy Mitchell's a senior player, in my opinion, now. He's been at this club a long time. You know, your Coopers and your Bryans. And if you can't rely on your senior players to lead the dressing room, to lead the club into better results, what on earth is going to happen with these youngsters? Because it's getting really, really bad at the moment. We need a new captain, in my opinion. I think we might touch on that. There's two people that constantly, week in, week out, pipe up and try and have some sort of order over what's going on the pitch. That's Tango and Casper Denore, and they were both, again, at it last night. It just didn't come to fruition, sadly.
So, Jamie, there's various things we'll get onto, but I think what I want to put in there is a fair share of context to it. If that goal doesn't go in, we're sitting there buzzing and we won 2-1 yesterday.
Yeah, I think we are.
Us, yeah. Because you're right to point out so many good things that the players, they grafted. And I actually feel for all of them, to be honest. I was fuming, and whilst we're reliving this, I'm getting agitated again, thinking about the fact that we conceded a 97th minute goal against the Cardiff side that didn't have a lot about them, and we gave away too much of that to them, to be honest with you. And that's where we're at the minute. We're struggling. We've got injuries. We're missing, players in forward areas that we might come on to in a bit that we really need to put right. We've got injuries, which we'll come on to, I guess, now in a sense, because obviously second half, 10 minutes in, Ryan Leonard goes down. It looks quite bad, doesn't it? He's not able to put pressure on his right knee as he walks off the pitch, I think, and it looks like it's a knee injury there. Danny McNamara comes on for him. Not really, his first time he's featured since he's returned from injury himself. He's been injured for the last month or so. He's 4 minutes in, or even not even that, I think. Twisted, he's kind of gone to jockey a defender, gone to twist and run the other direction. It looks like it's an ACL. I don't know what you boys thought, but I mean, Stephen, how's your luck? We're now in the market for forward areas, but also potentially two right backs there, mate. And I think that's what I want to highlight as well to the context of the game. Like, the players grafted and they really tried their best to get the result yesterday. Against all, the injuries that we mentioned, adversity, we made subs when we didn't really want to. We tried to dig it out and it didn't happen, but for that last chance at the end of the game. And we'll talk about the injury, Steve, anyway, but obviously just the context of that as well, isn't it? Another day, that could have been us here talking about it, a bit excited about the win.
Yeah, it's really difficult because, when you say that, because you're right, I actually don't think there should have been 7 minutes injury time. How often do you see 7 minutes? We can't moan at that. It's our own fault, by the way. That's not an excuse. But it's football. And if you don't see games out, or you don't finish teams off, or you set up wrong, or tactically make whatever the case may be, you get punished. And that's the life of a football fan, unfortunately. The situation with injuries, we've, by and large, and this, bear with me, you might think, what is he talking about? But there is point to this. We've been relatively lucky with our injuries this season. We haven't lost right now. We're in a bit of trouble. We've got quite a few, but the issue always was, if we lose one of our defenders, if we lose one of our centre backs, we were going to be absolutely stuffed because we didn't recruit properly in the summer. Defensively is probably the best part of our game. Leonard's played a lot more games than we might have thought. Jaff has stayed fit. Okay, Joe Bryan has played quite a bit, and I know he's not flavour of the month and on everyone's hit list, but it's been relatively stable. Jensen has now settled. Okay, we lost Jake Cooper and we had to play Murray Wallace and but we've, by and large, the defence has been okay. We're now faced with, we don't really have any cover at right back. We don't. There's just, we're either going to have to make a signing, and we still Jake Cooper has come back and has been woefully out of form. All of the problems are coming at once now, and the other injuries that compelled in attacking areas, that just everything seems to be snowballing, and we're not able to stop it. Leonard was always a flight risk. He was always a flight risk. We all knew it. That's why this contract situation has been the way that it is. And to be honest with you, I don't know about you guys, but every week he goes in for a 50-50. I'm half expecting him to stay on the floor and be out anyway. So as soon as that happens, you're thinking, right, here it is. This is the one, okay, we've got Danny. For Danny to not even, I don't even think someone said earlier, I don't even think it was 4 minutes. No. For Danny to go down in the way that he did just after losing Ryan Leonard is a monumental blow, because it does blow the transfer dealings out of the water, because we're going to have to bring someone in. I actually was quite surprised as well that Jaffet didn't move over to right back. He'd played there for Spurs. He played there in the Champions League for Spurs, and Crammer, who, by the way, was a bit of a shining light last night. I thought he was excellent at right back. I just thought he would naturally fill in at centre back, and Jaff would be moved over, which I think they may do at the weekend, but that we'll come on to that maybe in another show. How's your luck? The injury list is just, I mean, Coburn, Aziz, Amaku, Leonard, now Danny McNamara. They're all players that you could argue every single one of them would be in our starting team, every single one. And we're down to bare bones. We're absolutely down. Lost essay in the transfer window. So your 6 players that would be in your 6 starters. It just adds to, not only did we concede a last minute goal, not only are we still in a woeful run of form and the fans are unhappy and everything that's going on, we're 6 first teamers down from where we were perhaps 2 months ago. It's just everything is just a huge blow. It really is.
Penny for the thoughts of Gallon and co to get the replacements in, right? I mean, Jay, anything to add on that one anyway? I mean, obviously the injuries, I think Stephen's right to highlight Crammer. I think I was quite surprised to see him play right back. He came on, done pretty well, got up and down the pitch. I mentioned, obviously, for the Langstaff opportunity as well. But just your thoughts on the injuries, Jay, and obviously, where do we go now? I think, I know what I say, and I joke about it half the time on the show, but I've been calling him Mr. Certain Jed Wallace, but without any hesitation, if I'm totally honest with you. And if it's possible to do it, get him on loan, get it done. We need. I mentioned the know-how. He's someone that I feel would offer that leadership up front. No doubts there whatsoever, to be honest. But go on, Jay. Give me what you thought.
Yeah, the injuries. What more can we say? It's just becoming a snow hill now. It's started now, and it don't seem to be stopping. It's probably the last. Well, it's most definitely the last time you'll see Ryan Leonard and Danny Mac in a Millwall shirt. Actually, looks like it's an Achilles for Lenny. On the video, when you see the team come on, he's sort of caressing the top of his back of his foot to the bottom of his calf. It looks like an Achilles, which you weren't going to sign a 32-year-old right back with injury problems anyway, but that would just confirm it. And Danny Mac definitely looks like a knee. I've watched enough NFL to know what an ACL looks like, and he's turned on a dime. His studs have got caught in the ground, and that's awful for him, because Danny Mac is another player that when he comes on or when he starts, he gives you 110%. And Danny Mac would have probably been in position on that left-hand side to deal with that defensively for their second goal, because of what a good defender he is. Crammer is someone that I know quite a lot about from the fantasy show, because I pick him up quite a lot. Very good on the ball. I did expect him to see him slide in at centre-back and have Tango out on the right-hand side, which he did so well for Spurs, and especially that game against Man City he played. It's not really, it's quite unorthodox to see a 6'4" centre-half run down that right-hand side like that, but he did it effective, and he put some good deliveries in. He's very quick, and he's very good on the ball. So positive sign there, real positive sign to have Crammer in. I do agree with Stephen that Tango is probably the most likely candidate to move out. You've also got Casper Denore, who could play there, played there in Belgium at right wing back, and you've got Harding who can do it as well. So we are, as Stephen said, down to the very, very bottom of the barrel. But we just got to keep working hard. Look, we said the first half wasn't that good, even though we was 2-0 up. You need to get wins before you start focusing on performances. And it didn't matter how we got that win last night. It had to happen. A point is a good result ultimately against a team 5 or 6 unbeaten now. We have to take it. We have to look at the positives. But yeah, Gallon, I hope he's got some Red Bull and a pack of 20 B&H, because he needs to be on that phone, because something's got to happen. And I said earlier, I appreciate, we as fans want it now. We need them right now. You needed a right back yesterday. You need a 10 yesterday. We know January is difficult for every team in the league. Arsenal going for it for strikers. They're getting the same bombardment. Why haven't you signed a striker? We get it takes time, and he'll ultimately be judged at the end of this window whether we assess whether this is enough to keep us up or not. But it is bad. It is real bad. And, you know, even without the injuries, we needed a lot, and we need a lot more. So, yeah.
It's funny because it gives me deja vu to Neil Harris's comments about Gallon during the August towards the end was the lack of signings, lack of transfers. It feels like deja vu, albeit different circumstances due to the injuries, right? It's like we're here again. We need players. We signed players towards the end of the last window. I suspect we'll do the same again. I think, Stephen, you've had a conversation as well, I think separately, haven't we, today about like having players signed and ready. I think you have the opinion, if you felt like anyway, you can portray it probably better than what I'm saying now, but we knew SA was going, right? And it's like, why haven't we got his replacement in yet? What's the time hold of it? And I come back with the argument. It's obviously it's contextual. You got to wait for the right person. That's not as easy as for that. I'm of the opinion we're a small to medium fish in a fucking massive pond. Yeah, and it's for us to make plays and get stuff done. It just doesn't fall that way. It feels like at times. But go on, Steve. Your thoughts on that? And obviously, like I mentioned there.
When I stand by what I said earlier, and I'll explain further. But I do understand that we can't just go and blow teams out of the water. We're never going to do that on wage structure. We're never going to do that on an offer. We just don't have the finances to do it, even with the SA money. The reason why it bothers me so much about this business with Remain SA is, and I said it in the chat earlier when we were talking about it. Neil Harris, when he was manager, towards the last couple of games, made a comment and said that Remain SA will be playing Premier League football in the near future. Now, he was leaving. It was already announced he was leaving at that point. So we're looking at probably 2 weeks before Christmas-ish, roughly about that sort of time when it was announced he was going. So we're now 22nd January, I think it is today. So we're looking at over a month of knowing that Remain SA was going. And it would have been before that comment because it would have been, we all knew it was in the pipeline. So for argument's sake, we're 6 weeks down the line from knowing that our number 10, our creative flair, however you want to pronounce it, was going. If we want to have the sustainable model and have the buzzword at the moment is assets, isn't it? It's all over the place. If you want that to be successful, you have to, when you lose one, you have someone lined up. I don't think it's unreasonable for the club to have had someone lined up knowing that SA was going. I accept what Jay said, that perhaps, and yourself, that perhaps it is being done in the background and there will be someone in the door before the transfer window closes. But we've had 4 games in the league in January and we've got 2 points against teams in and around us. January's going to be ending very, very soon. And I know we play, obviously we play Luton at the weekend, we play Portsmouth, again, teams that are below us. As soon as that window closes, our run of fixtures start to get increasingly difficult. And a lot of them are away from home. These players are going to be expected to come in perhaps next week after the Portsmouth game, with the time constraints, and expected to hit the ground running, go into Sheffield United away, Leeds away. I think we've still got to play a load of the other teams. I know Burnley's right near the end of the season. We've still got a lot of tough fixtures, and they're going to be expected to come in straight away. I think it's disappointing that we've known about the departure of SA and there's nothing has happened as of yet. Next week I might be eating my words when we go and bring in Martin Odegaard from Arsenal, or I don't know who plays number 10, Bruno Fernandes or something stupid like that. But I don't think it's unreasonable that there must be a list of targets that we perhaps could have got in now rather than putting pressure on them, because by the time they come in, if results don't go our way, they're going to be expected to be banging form, banging in goals straight away, and that's hard to do.
I think twofold back to that is, I think if we knew the deal, I don't fully necessarily. I think Harris's comment, I think you've took it and said it's going to happen. And I understand where you come from it, but if the deal was done or almost done, I don't think we would have seen SA playing in a Mill shirt after that date of that comment. If you're working to that, in my opinion, if the deal was happening, we don't risk him getting injured, especially for the money he was going for. Is my personal take on that one. But I do fully subscribe to what you're saying and understand. You look at someone like Brighton, they normally sell one and someone's already been there for a year to understand what they do and he comes in and plays. We're in our infancy of this model, assets, buzzwords. Throw some more in there and tick off your bingo cards whilst you're at it and get a full house at it. But I think that's the truth, isn't it? I think with the SA argument, I think it's a bit unfair to assume that's the case, personally. But I think also one other thing on that is obviously you mentioned the point about, getting players in. I think typically, albeit like I said, we're at a medium to small size fish pond, we're going to want players that are playing for teams week in, week out. I don't suspect us going for players that are playing 2 or 3 games so far this season and out of favour. We'll try and sign young players, typically from the lower divisions or from foreign countries. A lot of teams won't want to get rid of their players in January. I don't think we legislated to lose SA this window. I think they had said it was a release clause, wasn't it? I think we hoped to keep him to the end of the season, and now we are where we are. And it's not great, but it's very difficult. Obviously, now we've got to try and get some players in, haven't we? And that's how I feel about that, to be honest.
I do. Look, if I'm taking it out of context, fair enough. But I look at it from the perspective that Millwall knew there was a release clause. They knew that Crystal Palace were incredibly interested in signing Romain Esse. There was always a chance that he could have gone this window. So for me, you plan for that eventuality, and if you don't need to act on it, great. You still keep Esse. I even think that there was discussions behind the scenes that we were going to keep Romain Esse on loan until the end of the season, that he wasn't going to go to Crystal Palace. But after, there was a lot of talk online, whatever side of the fence you sit on, that's another argument. But there was a lot of talk online, and perhaps they looked at it and went, actually, maybe that's not a viable option to send him back there. I'll go one back further, and Jay, I'll maybe bring you in on this. We lost Ian Fleming. Obviously, the night of the transfer, I believe we were doing a show, I think, of the transfer window when Fleming signed for Burnley. So we didn't have time necessarily to bring in a number 10 then. We thought, Esse will do that. That's possibly maybe swaying my opinion a little bit, but we lost Fleming, we've lost Esse, and there still isn't somebody that perhaps is ready to step in. Is that a little bit too harsh, or am I looking at it going, well, we've lost our 2 arguably best players? What are we doing?
Yeah, it's true.
I do agree. I absolutely agree, and that is the biggest issue that is sort of tarnishing it at the moment, because we did lose Fleming really, really late, and I understand that, and there's nothing that can be done about that. I get that. It was very much lastminute.com with Fleming. Although there was great interest, you still have to have a contingency plan to get that. SA probably was that contingency plan. Then you lose Esse. I do suspect that the board will have had a number of targets lined up for when we do eventually lose Esse, because it was going to happen. And then that ramps up really, really quickly, and then that gets done. And obviously there is still no one through the door. Whilst that is very concerning, Callum has spoke multiple times about he's been out, he's identifying players that know what we need. He said a couple of months ago that just after Harris left that they're identifying number 10s, specifically number 10s. We've heard that around. Richard Cowley put it out today, number 10. Callum put in his interview that me and Frankie covered a number 10. So they are definitely looking. They've told us that they're looking. They know that there's players that they want. They probably didn't expect to have to get one of them now. That would have obviously ramped things up in a notoriously difficult transfer window. But they may have even had a player that is ready to go, that we might have had a deal in place with, and teams are getting a bit of cold feet, or no, we actually want an extra 500 grand, and there's a lot of negotiating going back and forth. It is January, it's difficult. So I'm not going to pass any judgment or much judgment until the end of the window, because as Omar said, we are a pretty small fish in a massive pond. Arsenal are trying to do deals and can't get deals done at the moment. They're looking for a centre forward. All these clubs are looking for players, and we have to dabble in a London market, which is notoriously difficult. There's other clubs in London that are looking for players, and we're dabbling in the market where other championship teams are looking for players that have bigger budgets, bigger prospects, and are bigger clubs than us. And it is difficult. So I do get the frustration. I share the frustration. But you can't judge, especially at this club, until the end of the window, because things can happen at last minute, and deals are there to be done, and we are operating on a very much, we need assurances that we're getting money before we can spend money. And I think that was the thing with SA. Once the numbers were crunched, we can't go out and Klarna things, because the SA deal could have fell through, things like that. So you need to have that first payment with Klarna before you place a Klarna payment. And we have to do that, because we had to have assurances that we were going to have that money. And that's what's happened with SA. So that's where the issue lies for me. So I appreciate it. It's difficult, but I also appreciate we need it right now.
Yeah, we're coming to the final 5 minutes anyway, so let's throw some names into the mix, Stephen and Jay. I've mentioned Jed Wallace, and I'll mention his name again. And also, if you're listening in the comments below, if you've got anyone that you think we should be looking at, maybe trying to sign, and to specify the Jed Wallace thing, it's a short-term thing, get us over the line. I'm fearing the worst this season, if I'm honest. If you say to me, we're going to stay up, if we sign 3 or 4 players that are going to come in and impact this side for the rest of the season, big ask, then I feel confident. If we don't, and we're getting 2 in, and maybe 2 or 3 youngsters that hopefully are going to come good for us, then I'm going to be looking over my shoulder quite nervously, if I'm honest. And you mentioned the run of form we've got coming up, Stephen, after the fixtures and stuff. So let's get some names in the mix. Who's taking our fancy? Anyone out there? Is Louis Barry signed for his club? Yeah, he's still his name's still out there, isn't he?
He's still linked.
So look, let's throw some names out there, guys. Go on, Stephen. Have you got any names that you'd like to see us go for, or anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, the one that interests me is Dan's at Liverpool. I think he's in there. He is a bit of a prospect, and there's a lot of clubs that are interested in him. However, we have a good relationship with some Premier League clubs. We look after their players pretty well. Spurs being a prime candidate there. Arsenal have sent us, obviously last year they sent us Brooke Norton-Cuffy. So there is a relationship there. And we have Callum Scanlon at the moment from Liverpool. So Millwall would have been in contact with Liverpool. They would have, with his injury, that I don't know what the agreement is. Is he out of contract? I don't know. But Millwall would have had some form of working relationship with them. That would be one I would try to tap into. Are we top of the list for them? They might want to send him to a Sheffield United, a Leeds, Burnley, but you've got to use what you can in football. And if that is a way in with Scanlon, he is one that I think is a very, very good prospect. And I might be sort of being a little bit unrealistic. If we're going to go realistic, name that everybody seems to be talking about at the moment is the lad at Wigan, Asgard. He scored again, I think, last night. He scored at the weekend. I think he's got 9 goals in all competitions. It's an obvious, it's one that, I always say it. Premier League clubs look at the top of the Championship when they need to strengthen. Championship clubs perhaps look at the top of League One when they need to strengthen. Wigan aren't at the top, but his numbers are doing pretty well in the division. So maybe that one's a little bit more realistic.
Yeah, Jay, anything to add on that? I think obviously I think the only thing I'm worried about them 2 players there is, yes, great little footballers, but where's the know-how? Where's the guy in the forward areas that are going to get us over the line in these games? We've lost Tom Bradshaw, who is a valuable kind of experienced Championship head. Anyone out there that can come to mind that you think we could add as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, me and Frankie done a show on some prospects, and Asgard was one that we picked up. He's not a typical 10 you think he's going to be small and direct and really tricky like a Messi. He's really big and physical, someone like Zian Fleming. And I think we lack a lot of physicality in this side. I think we're not very aggressive. I think we're quite weak, the players that we have. And Asgard will bring some real big physicality, someone who likes to create, get into the box, sit on the edge of the box. He would be great. There's 2 other players that I really do like, and I spoke about one of them on that pod as well, and that's Emil Rees. Alex Neil spoke recently that we need a target man. He signed Emil Rees. He had his best years at Preston under Alex Neil. He's got 7 goals already this season. He's very much Steve Morrison 2.0. Not the best hold-up play. Steve Morrison wasn't the best at holding the ball up. He was for a big guy, he could get the ball down and run at players and bring other players into the game. And that's what Emil Rees does. He can also play out wide as well, but he will give us that target man that Neil wants, knows Neil's system as well. He's out of contract in the summer. He's having a bit of bad blood with Preston. I think you can get him on a cut deal just to get him out the door. And I'm sure he'd want to come here. The other person I've been really liking is Barnes' Luke O'Connell. I think he would shore up our central midfield. He'd allow Casper to do what he wants to do, and he can get up and down along with someone like Lewis Wing of Reading who could play in the 10, who scores a lot of goals, very creative. There is players out there that have release clauses. Release clauses help in January. I think the release clause is really good for a January window because you pay that and that's it. You know, you can do what you want. You can negotiate with them. So these players I've looked into, a lot of them have release clauses. They're players that will suit the system. They will give us aggression. They will give us experience. They will give us leadership, and they'll give us creativity. They're definitely 4 players I'd look at. And for a cheeky one, I'd love to get Louis Barry in on loan. And I'd love to get Kwame Poku, who will soon return from his injury, who's also out of contract in the summer. Someone who will give us goals, creativity, aggression, and pace. I think while we're looking at the model of being young and people that can help us now, I think we need to change the look for the 11 as well in terms of, like I said, aggression. I think we need height. I think we need pace. So I think that's where we need to start looking. And then players will definitely give us that.
I've got visions of Barry Fry. I know he's still got 6 months left on his contract, Kwame Poku, but still like saying, no, mate, you've got to go above 4 million.
And he will, and what a shrewd businessman he is, I'll tell you. But no, definitely.
We're coming towards our close here. If you're new around here, be sure to subscribe and like the video. Give us your thoughts and feedback. List some names in the comment section below. Who would you want to see Millwall sign? Who would you sign if you're in our position? Give us some examples of some players out there that maybe might give us that kind of instant impact in the Championship and hopefully steer us away from the fears that we've got after 1 win in 13 games. Stephen, thank you for joining me tonight, mate. It's much appreciated.
Yeah, it's just at the moment we're just in a lull, aren't we? But you have to. I was saying to Jay off air, you got to do these podcasts. You got to do it when you're winning. You got to do it when you draw. You got to do it when you lose. So it's a bit doom and gloom. For anybody that's remotely interested, Omar had a cracking 30th birthday celebration on Saturday night. It was a bit worse for wear, but no, it was good fun. But no, it's, as I say, you got to do it when you win. You got to do it when you draw. You got to do it when you lose. Unfortunately, it's the life of a football fan, right?
Yes, indeed. I think I probably felt human by Tuesday morning, so it gives you an indication of how that weekend went for sure. Jay, thank you very much for joining me today, mate. And hope to see you again soon.
Yeah, appreciate it, boys. And look, just it's hard to be positive when things are so negative, but we've got another game Saturday. That's a good thing about the Championship is a quick turnaround, and we get to go again. We get to try and put it right. So let's hope we do that. And look, players are coming. We're not going to end this window with no more players coming in. So let's spin some positives on it.
Famous last words.
Yeah, famous last words. I was thinking the same. But no, I agree with you, Jay. We'll get some new recruits in. This time next week will be positive after the nice win away at Luton.
Yeah.
On our way down. Well, to be fair, we played Pompey on Tuesday night, haven't we, as well? So that's got to look out for as well. A couple of big games coming up before the end of this month for sure. And Stephen was right to touch on that. But I think we all know I'll be sitting on the train Saturday going to Luton thinking we could shithouse this on today. And I think that's how I'm feeling. Positivity, come on, this is what we all do. You're angry at full time. I was angry driving home. When I woke up this morning, I was still a bit pissed off, but by this afternoon, I'm really looking forward to Saturday, and that's what it's about, supporting our team and going up and down the country following Millwall. So thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll be back again soon.